So today's episode starts with something incredibly ordinary, my grandfather getting his oil changed. And I know what you're thinking. Oil change? That's the premise. But stay with me, because it turned into one of those little days that somehow says a lot about getting older, asking for help, and what we choose to pay attention to.
I'm already interested, because errands with grandparents are never just errands. There's always a side quest. A story. A mysterious stop for a snack. Something.
Exactly. For context, my grandpa is the kind of person who still calls it the service station. Not the shop, not the garage. The service station. And he treats it like an appointment with destiny.
Does he prepare for it like it's a job interview? Because I feel like he does.
Oh, totally. He had the keys in hand 15 minutes early, he knew the mileage to the exact digit, and he had a mental list of things he wanted them to check. Not because anything was wrong, but because he believes you should always ask them to look. Just in case.
That's such a grandpa thing. Like, if you don't ask them to check, they might not check, and then, society unravels.
Right. And the funny part is, he doesn't even like sitting in the waiting area. He says it feels like you're in the way. So he prefers to stand outside, a polite distance from the bay, and watch like he's supervising a construction site.
He's doing quality control. He's making sure the oil is, appropriately oily.
We pull in, and the place is busy. Not chaos, but that steady hum of cars coming and going, mechanics moving quick, phones ringing, someone asking if anybody's seen the lug key. And my grandpa is immediately scanning the room like, okay, who's in charge here?
He's assessing leadership.
He loves to speak to the manager. Not in a rude way. More like he believes there is a correct person for each conversation, and the world works best when you find that person.
I respect that, honestly. It's kind of formal. Kind of old school. Kind of efficient, in his mind.
So we're waiting, and there's this moment where he reaches for his wallet, then pauses, then puts it back in his pocket. And I could see him doing some internal math. Because oil changes aren't what they used to be.
No, they are not. It used to be like, here's $20 and a handshake, and now it's like, would you like the Platinum Ultra Defense package with complimentary air?
Exactly. He leans in and says, I remember when they did this while you stayed in the car. They'd clean the windshield, check the tires, and send you on your way.
And somehow the windshield was always cleaner than any other time in your life.
Yes. And he says it like it's not nostalgia, it's a business model he'd like to reintroduce. Like he's about to pitch it to them.
Have you tried being faster?
So the tech comes over, and he's nice, he's professional, and he starts the routine questions. And my grandpa answers in full sentences like it's a deposition. The car is a 2012. The mileage is this. The last oil change was done in the autumn. The vehicle has been performing as expected.
As expected? That's incredible. That's the kind of phrase you use for quarterly reports.
And then the tech asks, any concerns? And my grandpa pauses. And you can tell he wants to say, no, but he also wants to say, well, since you asked.
Because if you say no, you miss your chance to be thorough.
Exactly. He goes, sometimes it makes a little sound when I turn left. And I'm sitting there thinking, Grandpa, it makes a sound because it's a car. Cars make sounds. But the tech takes it seriously and says, we can take a look.
This is how it begins. This is how an oil change becomes a saga.
So we sit down. And my grandpa chooses the chair that faces the work area, because of course he does. And there's a TV on with the volume low, playing some midday talk show. But he's not watching that. He's watching the car.
He wants to maintain eye contact with the vehicle. Make sure it knows it's being cared for.
Then comes the part that always gets me, the waiting room conversations. There are a few other people sitting around, and you know how it goes. Someone sighs, someone checks their phone, someone looks at the coffee like it's a dare.
Waiting room coffee is never coffee. It's just, Hot liquid with ambition.
My grandpa sees a guy about his age, and within 2 minutes they're talking like old acquaintances. Not about feelings or anything deep, just the serious stuff. Weather. Traffic. Gas prices. And then, inevitably, cars they used to have.
The sacred texts. They don't make them like they used to.
Exactly that. And what struck me was how easily he connected. Like, the world doesn't make it easy to talk to strangers anymore. But he still has that skill. He can turn a shared inconvenience into a conversation. He can make a waiting room feel less like waiting.
That's actually a rare kind of confidence. Or maybe it's just not caring about being awkward.
I think it's both. He doesn't treat small talk like it's pointless. To him, it's the glue. It's how people find each other in the ordinary.
Okay, now I'm getting emotional about an oil change.
Don't worry, we're not done. Because the tech comes back with the classic list. Like, oil change, yes. Filter, yes. And also, we noticed your cabin air filter is dirty.
Ah, the cabin air filter. The most accused part of any vehicle.
My grandpa narrows his eyes like he's been personally challenged. He says, dirty how?
He wants evidence. He wants a photo. He wants to see the filter brought out like a courtroom exhibit.
The tech actually brings it out. And it is, not great. Like it's been catching every leaf in the county. And my grandpa looks at it, and for a second he's quiet.
His processing betrayal.
Then he says, well. That'll do it. Like the dirty filter explains everything that's ever gone wrong. And he agrees to replace it.
That is such a human moment. We all have some version of a cabin air filter in our lives. Some overlooked thing that quietly collects junk until one day someone holds it up and you're like, oh, that's gross. I should have handled that earlier.
Yes. And it wasn't just about the car. It was about the fact that he's still making decisions. He's still weighing costs. Still trying to do the right thing for future him.
And also trusting someone else's expertise, which can be hard, especially when you're used to being the person who knows how things work.
That's the heart of it. My grandpa is from the generation that fixed things. Or at least tried. If something rattled, you poked around until you found the rattle. But now cars are basically computers with wheels, and so much is sealed up and specialized.
So the oil change becomes a reminder that the world changed around him, and he's adapting in real time.
Exactly. And we didn't even talk about the payment part. Because when it's time to pay, he does that thing where he looks at the total and goes, well, that's something.
That phrase contains multitudes.
And then he asks for the receipt, and not just the receipt. He wants it itemized. Not because he thinks they're scamming him, but because he likes to understand the breakdown. He wants to see the logic.
Honestly, fair. I wish I had that impulse. I often just tap my card and run away.
Same. And while we're standing there, I notice he's holding the receipt carefully like it's important. Folding it neatly. Putting it somewhere safe. Because to him, that little piece of paper is proof that he kept up with things.
It's documentation. It's order. It's, I handled my responsibilities.
Yes. And on the drive home, the car is quieter. Maybe it's the fresh oil, maybe it's the placebo effect, but he's satisfied. He says, it runs better.
Even if it doesn't, it does. Because he took care of it.
And then he does this thing that surprised me. He thanks me for coming with him. Like it was a favor.
But wasn't it kind of a favor? Or was it more like, company?
It was company. And also, I think it was a way of letting me be involved without making it a big deal. He didn't say, I needed help, because he wouldn't frame it that way. He said, thanks for coming.
That's such a gentle way to accept support. It's not surrendering independence. It's sharing the day.
Exactly. And it made me think about how many moments like this slip by unnoticed. Because we think the meaningful stuff has to be dramatic. Big milestones. Big conversations. But sometimes it's sitting in a waiting room, listening to your grandfather talk about a car he had 40 years ago, watching him navigate a world that's speeding up.
And you're watching, too. You're learning how he handles uncertainty. How he asks questions. How he treats strangers. That's the legacy stuff, honestly.
Yes. Like, how does he interact with the young tech? Is he dismissive? Is he kind? Does he assume the kid knows nothing, or does he trust him? Those tiny choices tell you who a person is.
So what was he like with the tech?
He was respectful. A little skeptical, but not rude. He asked questions, but he listened to the answers. And when it was done, he said, "I appreciate you." Simple. Direct. And the tech smiled like he didn't hear that enough.
That's huge. People remember that.
They do. And as we pulled into his driveway, he did one last grandpa thing. He turned off the engine and just sat there for a second. Like he was letting the day settle.
Like a closing chapter.
Yeah. Then he grabbed the receipt, tucked it away, and said, "All right. That's taken care of." And the way he said it, so satisfied, made me realize that what he really got wasn't just new oil. He got the feeling of being up to date. Of staying on top of life.
Which is not a small thing, especially as you get older. It's reassurance. It's control. It's dignity.
Exactly. So if you're listening and you've got someone in your life, grandparent, parent, neighbor, whoever, who invites you along for an errand that seems boring, maybe say yes once in a while. Not because they can't do it alone. But because you might get a version of them you don't see otherwise.
And because someday you'll miss the way they say things like service station with total confidence.
You will. And you might find yourself standing in a waiting room, looking at a receipt, thinking, that's something.
If that happens, I want everyone to know, we warned you. It's contagious.
Alright, that's it for today. Next time you're getting your oil changed, look around. Listen for the stories hiding in the ordinary.